Welcome back, everyone, to another episode. I am your guy, Clark Kent, back in studio, recording live from somewhere. You didn't think I was listening, fuckers, did you? I heard all the way through that episode, and I heard you guys call me Clark Kent. And you know what? You're probably right. You're probably right.
Hey, I'm on your side. I forgot about that. Actually.
Oh yeah. In one ear, out the other. I just say things, you know.
I heard Tim go, "You hear that, Tyler?" Yeah, I heard that. I heard you call Sam Superman. I'm here to tell you, at work he might be Superman. So I don't know that, but he might be. How you guys doing today?
Good.
Doing great.
And we all know my nickname is Daddy.
Oh my gosh.
Jesus Christ.
Hey, you know what?
Did this turn into?
I changed my name in our fantasy football because Drew is a fellow guy in our league here, and he talks a lot of mad shit. And I am now Drew's daddy on fantasy football going forward.
Oh, nice.
He texted me last night to change a name, and I said, "Hell no."
Hey, your one loss is to Daddy though, so
that is the most frustrating thing. I could be just like my Eagles if it wasn't for you. And who's your quarterback? Is it Joe Burrow? Is it,
yeah.
Is that who, yeah.
Joe Burrow. Yeah.
So annoying. It is what it is.
Yeah, my fantasy football team's a mess, so
I'm
running
away,
dude.
I'm running away.
Yeah, you're running.
It's
away
mine. It's mine to lose at this point.
Yeah. It's
every
not
time I
looking
look,
promising.
somebody's injured. Every time I look at it.
My win was on the bench today, this week. So whatever, man.
Yeah, he picks up Justin Fields, and I tell him great pick, and he doesn't play him.
Yeah, well, I mean, everything you look at said that Aaron Rodgers was supposed to just absolutely dominate the worst team on defense going into this game against the Lions, and we can get into that in a little bit. But yeah, God damn you, fuck Aaron Rodgers. I finally start believing in you, and you just really shit the bed on me. Whatever.
Well, let's get into it. Shoot me some scores, because I know you got them, baby.
All right. So I'm going to skip Thursday because you want to do your victory lap in a second. We'll get back to that in a second. We have Cincinnati over Carolina, 42-21. Detroit beat Green Bay 15-9 in a boring piece of shit game that I hated. Minnesota over Washington, 20-17. Miami over Chicago, 35-32. That was really exciting.
Those Bears look good.
Yeah, they did. New England over Indianapolis, 26-3 in the game that got Frank Reich fired. Clippers.
We'll get into it.
Clippers. God damn it. I see LAC and I think Los Angeles Clippers. Los Angeles Chargers over Atlanta, 20-17. New York Jets beat Buffalo 20-17 in a shocker. Seattle over Arizona 31-21. Tampa Bay squeaks by the Rams 16-13. Kansas City over Tennessee 20-17 in overtime. And I promised Tyler we'd come back to this. Philly over Houston 29-17. Go off, son.
Excuse me. Let me take a sip of my victory wine here.
Yeah, this is great radio.
Oh, everyone,
So
just,
good.
I have a beautiful Cabernet, perfectly blended, little blackberry. Perfection. Just like the Eagles. They are perfect. We are 8-0. I am rocking my Hurts jersey. I am rocking my Eagles hat. I just want the world to know we're 8-0. First time ever in franchise history. Can't be any more excited. I mean, could be worse. You could be the Raiders, right? The Raiders are
2-6 now. They lose to Jacksonville 27-20 after leading by 17. Sam.
Yeah, I got some stats.
All right.
So
Let's rip the Band-Aid off.
yeah, it's feeling good when I was watching the game, and then it just totally took a dump. So these two tweets, let me bring them up. This is from no, I hope I'm saying this right. Josh Dubow. Jaguars are 116, including playoffs, when falling behind by 17 plus points in franchise history. Their last win was 25-24 versus the New York Giants in 2014. So now, because they came back and beat the Raiders, their all-time record is 2-116 when trailing by 17 points. And here's
Whoa.
another good one from Paul Gutierrez. And this one is even crazier. The Raiders this season, when leading by 17 points this season, the Raiders are 1-3. The Ravens are 1-2. The Texans have a tie. The rest of the NFL combined is 43-0.
When trailing 17-0?
When you're up by
when
at
you're
least 17
leading
points.
When you're up by
17-0,
17. I'm sorry. Okay.
the rest of the NFL is undefeated. So the Raiders they're 1-3. So those 3 wins are against the Chiefs, the Arizona Cardinals, and I think they didn't score a point against New Orleans, so it's not them. But those 3 wins put you second place, maybe tied with the Chiefs. But you're in the hunt. You're in the wild card if you're 4-0 in those games. You're in the hunt, and they're 1-3. I saw another number that historically the Raiders are they have in all their combined history have lost a small handful of games by leading 17 points. This year they have already matched their all-time total or something crazy like that. So this Raiders team right now, it's not just bad, it's actually historical bad. They've had teams, the Art Shell year, they're 2-14. They've had really bad teams, but this team, when you're losing games, when you're up 17-0, that's pretty bad. You're coming into this year thinking you're an AFC contender. You think you're knocking on the door. You think you're right there with the Chiefs. You go and you got the re-sign the franchise quarterback. You get the college teammate, the number 1 wide receiver. You got the running game. You got the tight end, and you got nothing. You got nothing. So, it's a really bad team. I've said this for many weeks now. Out of all the seasons you needed to win, this was the season you needed to start winning. You're finally out of the pandemic. You could put seats in the butts. You got the excitement, and you got no juice. You got nothing. So it's time to blow it up. Derek Carr, get out of here. Trade everybody. Everything is for sale. Tear it down to the studs. This coaching staff, I was so excited for this coaching staff. It ain't the one. This is not it.
All right, just to rub a little salt in your wound, one of these games when you were up 17 and ended up losing was against the Chiefs, correct?
Correct.
If
Chiefs,
you hold
Jaguars,
Chiefs, Jaguars, and who else? The Cardinals, right? Okay, so if you end up holding on to that game against the Chiefs would be 5-3. That would tie them with the Chargers, who are currently 5-3. If you win all 3 of those games when you were up 17,
you're in first.
That's a 3-way tie for first place in the AFC West. Yep. So that's your difference right there. Not holding on to big leads. And I don't give a shit if the lead is in the first quarter or the fourth quarter. Yeah, if you're up 17,
you had the lead.
You close it out. I don't give a shit. No excuses.
You had the lead. And, I know it's easy to point blame at the defense, and a lot of people are pointing blame at the defense. They gave up a 17-point lead. But at the same time, your offense was supposed to be so explosive, and you can't even win the time of possession. You can't even extend a drive to just keep the opposing team from getting a decent field position.
Well, it doesn't help. It doesn't help too. When we were watching, or at least I'm sure you and I saw at the same time. It was 2nd and 2, and they go for a pass.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's 3rd and 2, and they go for a pass. And then they have to kick the ball with 3 minutes left, and you're down. I'm like, what are you doing? Run the ball. You have one of the best running backs, and he's been one of the best ones for the last like a month. Go run the ball. Go get 2 yards. And they can't even do that.
Even with a bad offensive line, their offensive line is terrible. Even with that bad offensive line, if you can't get 2 yards in a must-win game, then none of these guys should be in the NFL. And I'm not an offensive lineman. I'm not a good athlete whatsoever. I'm not even an average athlete. I'm fucking below average. But if you're a professional athlete and you can't get 2 yards with I think we all agree Josh Jacobs is an above average running back. Like, he's not average to below average. He's a good back. And in his defense, I don't know if you can say he could be better with a real offensive line. You know, you put him on a team that has an actual running game or blockers that can make it happen for him and open up holes. He might be better than what he has been, and he's been pretty damn good.
Definitely revitalized his career this year. Honestly, everyone thought he was on the outs and emerged. Maybe he's playing for the contract. Maybe
he was a little quiet the past couple of years, but they have not fixed the offensive line for a few years now. So, I mean, we talked about this in earlier episodes. We know that something happened between John Gruden and Rodney Hudson. He got traded almost immediately. There were other players that were on the offensive line that left, didn't want to come back. They got traded because something was going on with John Gruden. The big free agent signing that they got from New England, and then ended up going back to New England and played well. He was on the Hard Knocks. They signed him to a big fat contract. I'm totally blanking on his name. Good radio. But they signed him from New England. They signed him as a free agent, and he was terrible. So they traded him back to New England for like a 5th round draft pick, and then he played well. So I don't know what it is. The Raiders franchise has stink on it that nothing is washing it out. Bleach, don't get rid of it. Simple green, don't get rid of it. I mean, it ain't coming out. The franchise just looks terrible. The quarterback looks worse than ever. And he was supposed to have a head coach that was an offensive genius, and they just look terrible. I don't know if you guys saw the post-game interviews with Derek Carr and Devontae Adams and some of the other players, but I think there were some shots being taken from the players at the coaching staff, specifically the offense. Josh McDaniels.
There definitely was 100%.
You know, so I mean, there was a huge tweet chain of quoting Devontae Adams, and at the end of it, Devontae Adams was saying, no, that's not a shot at my coaches. I'm just saying what it is. I love my coaches. I wouldn't trade them for nothing, but we got to do something. And there's that old cliche, players need to be put in a position to be successful, and it's coaches' jobs to do that. They don't look prepared. That's the thing that I'm most concerned about, is they don't look prepared. They don't look like there's a plan. Your opening drive, we talked about this, about the 49ers, Vince. Your first, 15 plays are scripted. Like, what you're going to be doing. Coming out of halftime, you're usually your first series, your first 5 to 7 plays is scripted. They don't have a plan. And it's just really concerning that they look this bad entering games. And it's been a repeated problem of looking unprepared from jump. This was the first time in a long time that in the first half, they went up 17-0. But then you come out in the second half and Devontae Adams doesn't catch a ball in the third quarter. I mean, pretty much his first half stats are his second half stats, or the end of the game stats. It's like the same. He completely disappeared. You stopped attacking. You had an offensive game plan that was working, and then you just abandoned it. You just completely abandoned it. So I don't know. there's more and more questions about the Raiders. They're the biggest disappointment in all of football this year. In all of the NFL
by a mile. I guess my biggest question too is that Devontae Adams, I mean, he's an explosive wide receiver. I get that, but you would think that they would take a page out of the Rams and how they use Cup, and a lot of screenplays or a lot of action just to get him the ball, because he's such a yak guy. He can create so much. He's so big, so powerful. And then you could also infuse that with your running game. And to me, Josh McDaniel is supposed to be this offensive guru, a lot like Kyle Shanahan, like they're masterminds in the offense. And I'm not seeing any of it. I'm seeing you've got one of the best wide receivers that gets 7 touches a game, which makes absolutely no sense to me. Absolutely zero.
It's
I think he had one game where he had 2
it's,
touches.
It's the penalties. It's the knuckleheaded penalties. It's, you're supposed to be these really good coaches, and the offensive line looks like it's getting worse, not better. Defensively, you spend all this money on Chandler Jones. I mean, he looks, all of a sudden it looks like his powers got zapped. I mean, defensively, there's been a few games. It's hard for me to say that anybody looks good in a game defensively other than Max Crosby. Rock Ya-Sin looks good at times. But the front 7 really isn't doing anything. All linebackers has just been a hole for this franchise for 20 years. They can't find anybody on defense. Like they can't find anybody. They can't find a linebacker. So I don't know. It's very concerning. And Darren Waller, you sign him to the big fat contract and he's been unavailable. Renfro was a really good receiver, and he looks terrible.
Yeah, as Todd Gurley would say, your best ability is availability, and that's a big problem with the Raiders as well. I mean, everyone's dealing with injuries, but I mean, a lot of guys that you pay a lot of money for, and they're just not producing. They're not available to you. So.
Yeah, it's just mind-boggling. I guess my final thought is, Mark Davis has really tried, and we could say, bringing back Gruden was a mistake. We could say now Josh McDaniels was a mistake. I really feel I was very upset when they brought John Gruden back and they let Reggie McKenzie go. Reggie McKenzie was not perfect. He had his mistakes. But I felt like Reggie McKenzie, when he became the general manager, president of, football and operations, he wasn't just rebuilding the Raiders roster. He had to rebuild the Raiders scouting. He had, it was documented very clearly that Reggie McKenzie, day one, had to spend $100,000 of Raider money to buy computers, because the computers that the scouts had were literally from the late 90s. They were literally from the late 90s, and Reggie McKenzie had to modernize the front office to use modern emailing and modern computing and modern video cameras, and he hired Jack Del Rio, and Jack Del Rio had its problems, but Riverboat Ron won. Ron won. It wasn't pretty all the time, but you won. And we haven't really won under John Gruden, 'cause he's gone, and clearly we're not winning with Josh McDaniels. So I really think the mistake was letting Reggie McKenzie know. He's one of the most well-respected people in front office NFL stuff. And I think that's where the real mistake is moving off of Reggie McKenzie a few years too early.
Well, we're intrigued to see what's going to happen this Sunday with the Colts. If you can't win that one, then you might as well just tank for the rest of the way and try and get the number 1 seed. I mean, you're a 3 seed right now as far as the draft goes, but intriguing news coming out of Indiana. They fired their head coach. That would be all thanks to who would they play? To New England and that New England's defense is a sleeper this year. I have to admit, I had no way of expecting this defense to produce as well as it has. Their offense is just god awful. But that defense literally fired the Colts head coach, and now they've hired Jeff Saturday. I'm going to repeat that again. They hired Jeff Saturday, who was on TV, has not been around the team, has zero head coaching job or career in high school, college, pros, and yet he's the head coach of the Colts. Jeff Saturday.
Yeah, they're really taking a page out of the Ted Lasso book, aren't they?
I mean, at least Ted Lasso coached American football.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, like he's not experienced at all with coaching, but he somehow ended up just because he's, like an all-time great Colt, and he was the center for Peyton Manning, and so he's got some name recognition in Indianapolis. Spit it out, Vince. Do your tongue twisters beforehand. Anyway, yeah, I don't get it. I don't understand why he's the one that they ended up hiring. I'll tell you this much though: if I was Arizona, I would have kicked Cliff Kingsbury out the door right now and brought Frank Reich in to coach the rest of this season at least.
Yeah, their offense looks horrible too,
yeah,
man.
I think Frank Reich could really fix Arizona and get them turned around and really just give the rest of the NFC nightmares.
Look at that. Vince has got a heart. He's trying to help out his own rival.
That's
Look
right.
At that.
But,
Look at that.
But I tell you what,
but he's really saying
it. They're not going to do it.
You're really saying it because Seattle stays in first place with this win this past week, which really pisses you off.
Oh yeah, I'm a little bit upset. I guess we'll just say I'm upset that Arizona still couldn't figure it the fuck out. They extended Cliff Kingsbury for some unknown reason in the offseason. I don't get it. The team didn't perform as if he warranted an extension. I would have let him play out the rest of this contract, see what happens this year. And wouldn't you know it, it's the same thing that happened with Jack Del Rio. They had the one good playoff season. They gave him the extension, and then they ended up firing him the next year because the team went back into the shitter, right? So I think that that's probably the exact same thing that's going to happen for the Cardinals this year. They're going to take a look around, realize that Cliff Kingsbury, he ain't shit, and he's going to get shown the door.
Yeah, well, they're still in it somehow, some way. They're still in it.
I'm looking at the standings right now. The Cardinals are 3-6. Right now, the 49ers hold the last wild card spot at 4-4. So that's a 2 game and a half difference. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, but with half the season gone. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah. The Cardinals are not really in it as far as I can tell. There's too many teams to climb over the top of.
The West is just a dumpster fire of football. I'm gonna tell you that right now. As much as I love your 49ers there, the East is so different, and I didn't have the NFC East being good, nor did I have the AFC East being as intriguing as it is. I mean, they're all separated by a game. So, the West that's a dumpster fire. The AFC West, it's clearly a two-man horse or a two-man race. And then the NFC West,
two-man horse.
I like that too. NFC West.
I like getting seats on our butts. I was going to try to save it for later, but I felt like now was the time to pull it out.
Yeah.
Bringing it back.
That's a two-man horse right there.
That's a two-man. Man, if you had a two-man horse, you better win every race.
We talk sports, not language here. Sorry.
What, you thought this was Rosetta Stone? Anyways, I just wanted to say that it should be intriguing. The rest of this whole entire season. New Orleans and Baltimore is playing tonight. Vince did not mention that, but
oh yeah,
Hey, can we also talk about Joe Mixon? Like 5 touchdowns? Excuse me?
Yeah, he was due. And he got caught back up in one spectacular, just firework display of offensive prowess. And then he's going to get hurt.
and then he's gonna get hurt next week, and he'll be out for the rest of the season. Watch.
Don't put that evil on your Bengals, dude.
I just wanted to make my comments on that. Sorry, there is a whole motorcycle crew driving by my house. I hope that all of the audio feed picks that up because it sounds wonderful. I hear it every day and I love it. It just makes me so happy.
I really thought it was just you had beans for lunch. That's
Okay, so back to the original point. Jeff Saturday's the head coach for Indianapolis, and we don't get it.
It doesn't make any sense.
I think that's totally a put somebody different, hire Mr. Colt, put him in there, see what happens. But they'll be definitely looking for a permanent head coach next year. It makes them watchable as far as the drama. I don't think they're going to be any better. I mean, they have to be the second biggest letdown. The Colts, they have to be the second biggest letdown in the NFL.
Yeah. Matt Ryan is he's washed. So.
Yeah, I would say them and the Browns are probably big letdowns too. I would think.
Well, I think we all kind of expected the Browns to brown because they signed a quarterback who they knew would be suspended, and then that suspension ended up being 11 games. So
maybe longer. We'll see. He keeps racking them up.
Yeah, that's right. He's real piece of work, that Deshaun Watson.
Yep. So speaking of piece of works, I'm gonna jump us over to a different sport that has a round ball that goes into a net here. Kyrie Irving is suspended for 5 games minimum for not apologizing about his anti-Semitic post. And then I'll say this, he posted a video that was anti-Semitic, then went to a post-game interview and got into an altercation verbally with a reporter, asking about how he feels about putting that on his platform and promoting that. And it became this whole thing. They gave him the chance to, during practice, do another interview and kind of retouch on what he was saying and maybe phrase it differently. And he didn't. He doubled down on his thoughts and views. So he has been suspended for 5 games for that. Shortly afterwards, that suspension came out. His Instagram post came out saying that he apologized. I fully believe that he didn't write that post. I believe that his PR team wrote that post for him. But to come back to the team, the Nets have set out a parameter for him. He has to apologize / condemn the movie that he tweeted about. He has to donate $500,000 to anti-hate causes. He has to attend sensitivity training. He has to attend anti-Semitic training. He has to meet with ADL and Jewish leaders. Once he's done all of that, then he has to meet with Joe Tsai, the owner of the Nets, to demonstrate his understanding of everything that he just had to go through to get back with the team. And Vince, you fully believe that he will not be in the NBA again.
Well, I don't know that I fully believe that. There was a report going around saying several general managers, I believe, they were saying that they don't know that he's going to be. The exact quote was from an anonymous NBA GM saying that I think Kyrie might not play in the NBA again. And that was said to the Athletic Sam Amick, by the way. So this is a situation where it's going to take more than your typical apology. Obviously, he's he said some really hurtful things, and he's been a bit of a bad man. And if he's a flat earther and an anti-Semite, I don't know what the hell any team would want to do with him. If you took away the name and just put his resume out, obviously that's a player that every GM would love to have. But then we circle back around with a lot of other cancers in the locker room or whatever, and Kyrie is proving himself to be once again a giant pain in the ass.
Yeah, on that note of the name, though, I want to give you a name, Miles Leonard, who also said an anti-Semitic post quotes, he was saying something anti-Semitic during his live stream of playing video games. He attended all of these anti-sensitivity, trainings, whatever, right? He's no longer in the league. He's blackballed. I think, to your point, Kyrie Irving's name is the only reason why he's not blackballed from this league. So
yeah. So are you saying that even if he does all of the requirements, that they're still not going to let him back in, or they're still going to blackball
he needs
him.
to once he's done all the training, he needs to meet face to face with the owner, and the owner is going to decide if he feels that he's actually learned from this and is remorseful about it or not. And if he feels that he's not, then
we should have the tweet in the screen grab on our YouTube. So for our YouTube users, we should have that on there so they see what we're talking about. This is the problem when you have athletes that have a platform where, Kyrie talked a lot during the pandemic and the BLM and things like that. But when you start getting way off into the weeds here, this doesn't make you free of consequences. Whatever you say, whatever you do, no matter your platform, your status in your job, you're going to be, you open yourself up to be criticized. And he's being criticized, and rightfully so. But he said some stupid stuff. It's absolutely stupid. LeBron, I just saw in preparation for the show, I saw LeBron was kind of saying, this isn't right. It's not good what he's saying. So even people who have defended Kyrie in the past are kind of walking away from that. And, it's just one of those things. You got to be, I'm not trying to say like shut up and dribble type of comment or be quiet and play sports. I'm all for people expressing their opinion. But sometimes your opinion is flat out wrong. And you should educate yourself when you share a movie or something. And then when people come down your road and you don't like it, now you're getting into arguments with reporters who are fact checking you. I'm just not a fan of, I haven't been a fan of Kyrie for a very long time because of this nonsense. This is not the first time this nonsense has gone on.
I think one of the telling things about that report, when he met with reporters, I should say, after the practice, is that they had asked him, how do you feel knowing that you hurt a lot of people in the Jewish community with your post? And Kyrie responded by saying, I think I can answer that with a better question of where were you when I was, a young kid and my ancestral family were slaves. And it's like, that's not what the question was. I think too, at the end of that, he said that I'm not here to compare different cultures' atrocities. You literally did. You did that when you tried to reference that you have a better question versus somebody else's question related to the topic. I think Kyrie Irving has a great stance when it comes to understanding the atrocities that African Americans and Black people have had to endure across the world, not just in America. But I think he's not wrong in that sense. But I think he's also not open-minded to the rest of the world and believes things that opinionally are wrong. You cannot say that Jewish people ruin the media. That's not true. I think there's a level of educating yourself that you can be that beacon of light that he wants to be, but you can't tunnel yourself in one avenue and say that you're a beacon of light for just the Black community. You know what I mean? I think,
and this is why I criticize LeBron, because if you're coming out and you're speaking about social justice for one class of people, then it applies to all class of people. And this is why I was pissed off about the Hong Kong thing and then walking away from it. Is what's going on over there is wrong. It's evil. It's fucking genocide. What they're trying to do. There's Russia. What Russia is doing is wrong. When countries and governments are in the wrong, they should be called out. The United States has done a lot of things that is wrong, and they should be called out. And that's the problem, is that it's not just it's not a one-way street. It's not,
no.
And that's the problem that I have with Kyrie is that, yeah, there are some things that he brings up fair points, but there are other fair points about other arguments and about other ethnicities. The problem isn't Jewish people or white people. It's fucking greed. It's power. It's power corrupts. It's people who are wealthy and just want to have the whole pie, not just a piece of the pie. They want the whole thing. That's the problem. I have problems with the media. The media reports certain things, certain ways. Yeah, I got a problem with it. I don't like it. And we can see that in modern media right now, whether that's the CNNs, the Fox, the MSNBCs, the ESPNs, all of it. There's always going to be a slant of some kind. I mean, we can see the Washington Post changed overnight when Jeff Bezos bought them. They're a completely different newspaper than what they were. So, Kyrie said some shit that he should be criticized for. And the only thing he needs to do is educate himself and get better. I think that's the only thing that society is asking of him is just do better. You have a wonderful platform. You make some well points. Just do better. It's not that hard.
It's not. And then I know we're going to move on here. I just want to touch on one thing here. A lot of this is Brooklyn's just a dumpster fire themselves, but they fired their head coach. Then they seriously talking about bringing on Ime Udoka, which
oh my God, yeah,
I think is the most ridiculous thing you could possibly do. But now sources are telling them to please look for another option to save face, because right now you are the laughing stock of the NBA. So,
yeah,
Mark Jackson, line one.
No kidding.
Hey, it's a make or miss league.
All right, that's enough politics and blah blah blah.
That's enough malarkey for now. Let's just actually stay on basketball. The Warriors in the last week have, speaking of dumpster fires, they've lost all 3 games. They lost by 7 in Miami. They lost by 1 in Orlando after leading, fairly significantly. And then they lost in New Orleans by about 9 as well. So
I'm buying me a Ty Jerome jersey.
They're 3-7 on the year. They're currently in 13th in the West. So not in playoff position. I think it's is it time to start panicking yet? Are you there? Or are you at least glancing your way over toward the panic button? Do you at least know where it is?
Well, look, I'm going to tell you right now, if the Warriors, for a lack of better words, tank, right? It is going to be the most slickest way of tanking I have ever witnessed an NBA team do, because Wembanyama is on the table. And I think there's no way they would do it. But if they did tank and lose in this fashion, it's going to be the most frustrating, and nobody really saw it coming because we thought they were trying the whole entire time. Now we're only like, what, 9 games in, 10 games in, something like that. So
yeah, we're 10 games in. They're playing Monday night. So when you hear this, they will have played their 11th game against the Kings.
So alternatively speaking, if you lose and you tank out, right now they're a 3rd pick in the lottery right now. If you tank out and you win Wembanyama,
it's way too early.
Win. It's a win. It's a win if you lose. It's a win if you win.
Yeah,
okay.
I mean,
I want to focus on the now. We're coming off the championship. This team has underperformed. They're the biggest disappointment in the NBA right now.
Well, yeah, I was going to ask, like, what changed? What did they?
I think there's a few things that changed. One is they lost oh my God, the coach that went to the Kings, who was their defensive coordinator, Mike Brown. They look terrible on defense. They're not playing individual defense and they're not playing team defense. And then the young players, other than Moody, who I think we all saw that Moody was going to transition well to the NBA because he's like a 3-and-D type of guy. Like he shoots well. The percentage wasn't there for him when he first got into the NBA, but you saw the mechanics. You saw the stroke was there, right? You knew they were going to start falling. And he was a pretty good defender and he has good size. And he came from, I think he played 3 years of.
He played 3 years in Arkansas, but he got that dog in him. That dog.
Yeah, so I think he was it was kind of like he was going to be the guy that should transition pretty well. Kuminga's the guy that has all the athletic ability, but he hasn't added anything to his game, and it doesn't seem like he's really improved. And that's the concern with Kuminga, is that he doesn't look improved. He looks exactly the same, and the rest of the league is caught up to him. And Tyler, on our own time, you were going off about his one spin move, and he just looks exactly the same, and he's not picking up on defensive assignments.
Yep.
And James Wiseman, he doesn't look very good right now. And the thing in his defense, it's hard for me to come down his road because this is essentially his rookie year. I mean, this is the first time he's been healthy in a really long time. This is this is the most consistent play he's gotten since high school. He played 3 games in college before the suspension happened. If this was going on right, if he was starting his college career right now, he would be able to sign all of these endorsement deals and there would not be a problem. And he just does not look good because I don't think he's had any consistent playing time and consistent coaching in games. There are some things that I'm concerned about in personal mannerisms or composure or however you want to call it, where the slumping of the shoulders and the head being put down. I'm not seeing the dog. I'm not seeing the I want it, factor. And that's what's concerning. It's probably time to, he should probably go down to the G League and, work on some things. But it's just the young guys do not look consistent right now. They don't look improved.
I think the problem with that, and you had talked about this a couple of times with me, that we want to get him down to the G League and let him get some run down there and let him dominate, let him build that confidence, which he was already doing a little bit last year anyways, but maybe not to a full extent of a season. But I think the problem you're running into is outside of Looney, who's your big man? You're going to go Draymond Green. You're probably going to go Jermichael Green. But outside of that, those aren't really big men, those power forwards. So I think he's probably not going to go to the G League out of necessity of they need another big man. I'm also not opposed. They got an open roster spot. They've got 2 two-way players on there, so they could always cut ties with one of them and not have to be contractually bound to them. But I also think that I'm not opposed to Dwight Howard making to the team roster. He's going to get 0 play time. But as a big man who is the same athleticism in his prime, a defensive guru in his prime, I think that would be a great asset for Wiseman. And I think the Warriors should explore that avenue. The Nets didn't want him back, so he's a free agent currently, and he's already expressed that he would love to play there. He would love to be able to teach Wiseman what he had to go through and, how he was not a great teammate and how to be a better teammate. And in the later years of Dwight Howard's career was actually one of the better things to watch as a player growing in this league. Humbly.
I don't have anything really to add to that. I think you both made some very salient points. And if Dwight Howard ends up coming, I think that's probably going to end up being positive for Wiseman because he can learn from him, and he sounds like he's willing to teach him. And that's another big body you can throw out. It's a guy with 6 that you can, he can take 6 fouls at the very least.
Yeah, he could.
There's
exactly.
no reason. There's no reason to not at least kick the tires on him, see if he's got anything to offer.
I'd be intrigued by it. I would be super intrigued by it. They got an open roster spot.
Speaking of kicking, the fucking Houston Astros ended up winning, and I'm kicking everything in sight because I hate it.
Wait. Outrage alert. Outrage alert. Outrage alert.
Yeah.
We need one of those sirens.
Yeah. So the goddamn Houston Astros won the goddamn World Series against the goddamn Phillies, who couldn't get their goddamn act together. God damn it.
Did you want the Phillies to win and an economic downfall to happen? Did you guys see this tweet that every time the Phillies have won, there is some type of Great Recession, Great Depression?
To be fair,
economic.
the
What is this
recession,
nonsense?
the recession had already started before the Phillies won. So that was in 2008. Like the downturn started in 2007. So that
You're wrong,
I do
Vince.
not.
The internet never lies.
Right. Oh, I'm sorry. Apologies to Elon Musk's Twitter. My bad.
I believe the phrase is the internet never forgets.
Both
Now,
are true.
before Vince goes on another tirade here, can we as a Philly proud sports fanatic here, can we give a shout out to Philly's sports teams? Yes, the Phillies did not win the World Series. That's unfortunate. But not a single motherfucker on this podcast had them go into the World Series. Not a single
Not at
one.
all.
We all
Nope.
wrote them off halfway through the season. So congratulations to them on
But
that.
the thing is,
Also, wait, congratulations on their MLS team as well. Make it to
The
the Cup.
Philadelphia Soul. Yeah.
They lost that as well, but they weren't even supposed to make it either. So congratulations, Philly. The future is bright. Don't sink your heads too low. You still got an undefeated team, although the Flyers kind of suck and
But-
stories to be written on the 76ers.
But at least they have Gritty.
This is
so,
true.
Yeah.
And the
Grit-
Fanatic.
Yeah.
the Phillies.
I think Gritty's a
owe-
better mascot than
The
I'm saying it.
Phillies-
That's a hot take, but I think Gritty is a better mascot than the Philly Fanatic.
I don't know. The Fanatic's
down
got
my
some
road.
quicks. He's
Yeah.
got some clips, man. He's got
Yeah.
some clips.
Okay, please send it to me. But also, I'm telling you, I just love that. What I really love about Gritty is how the left kind of co-opted him as a mascot, and so like those like just absolute fire leftist fellow worker Gritty memes. Just it really made my 20. It was the one. It was one of the very few bright spots in 2020. Was those fire memes?
Well, the
Go ahead.
Phillies owe the Giants a big thank you for taking Gabe Kapler, and not having Gabe Kapler on the team allowed them to get to the World Series. So, because he stinks.
That is a shot to the San Francisco Seals. So
It's really a shot at Gabe Kapler and him getting a fucking job at two historical baseball teams.
okay. I just want to go on a record here and say that I'm going to defend my Fanatics here. My fiance has chosen that as her favorite mascot of all sports mascots, all of them. So
Which one?
the Phillies Fanatic. That is her favorite mascot. She thinks he is hilarious and an absolute menace to society. The fact that he throws popcorn at people and just runs away, or gets on his ATV and puts his ass in front of women reporters. That's also ridiculous. So just saying, best mascot, hands down. Me and Vince can fight about it.
Yeah, we'll fight about that another time. Speaking of teams that also have really great mascots, though, the San Jose Sharks, oddly enough, in this last week, they lost 3 straight games. All of them were in the shootout. That was rough.
Damn.
Eric Carlson actually had a hat trick on Tuesday. They still lost 6-5 in the shootout to Anaheim.
I thought you were gonna say it was odd that the Sharks lost 3 games in a row, and I was like, that's not odd to me at all.
No,
That's completely normal.
The shootout is what's odd. Losing in the shootout 3 straight games in 3 straight, like three games, 3 shootout losses. Usually you lose in regulation a few times. I was actually at the game on Saturday when they lost to Anaheim 5-4. That's right. They played at home against Anaheim. Anaheim went somewhere else and then came right back to San Jose Saturday night. So that was another unique moment of the schedule for the
What
Sharks.
a shit schedule for them.
Yeah, it's so fucking weird. I don't know what the hell they are fucking smoking in the schedule construction department in the NHL.
My Sharks are letting me down, by the way. I had keys to the season, as they would say, keys to the game. I had keys to the season. You have to be better than the Kraken. Where are they at right now, Vince?
They are last in the Pacific, 3 wins, 8 losses, 3 losses in overtime, all in the last week. And actually, I was at the game on Saturday, like I had mentioned. They actually played really well for 56 minutes. They went on a late power play. They were up 4-2. They didn't, put the game away. And then Anaheim, like right as the player came out of the box, there was a loose puck in center ice, and he grabs it and goes and scores 5-hole. And then and when that happened, I was like, oh shit, this is gonna happen again, isn't it? And then wouldn't you know it, they pull their goalie, they get the tying goal, and they go to overtime. A lot of chaos, but nothing happens. Shootout. Sharks lose on their 5th. Like, it took 5 players. Normally it's 3 players in the shootout. They went to the 5th player, but then they finally end up losing there. I will say it was also nice being at the arena when it was like really nice and full. There was, I think it was a sellout actually, because it was Los Tiburones night, and everybody got this shirt. It was designed by a Latino artist, and he had his it's like a hammerhead and there's a volcano. Really cool logo. I was very hyped to get that shirt.
Do you got pics? Do you got some pictures?
Yeah.
And
Video? We'll I don't have any video, but there was definitely pics. You can we'll get you some pics for that, because it's a really cool shirt, a really cool logo that was designed this year. They do a contest every year for these kind of logos that are designed, so it was nice to see something really awesome, and I'm glad I got a shirt for it. And it was a packed house, and the tank was full of energy, and it was nice. It was 2 bad teams going against each other, so it almost had a playoff feel to it, because they both know there's not going to be a lot of wins this season, so you got to get everyone you can. And it was a lot of high energy for some bad teams.
Vince, so you're really locked in on the Sharks. So why do they stink? Are they just like a really young team, or
how much time do we have on this podcast?
Yeah. Well, I mean, basically, I'll just keep it as short and sweet as possible. They're just not as good. The talent they have, the top end talent is just not as good as other top end talent in the league. You have a captain in Logan Couture. I actually do not believe he's captain material. This is a hot take. I think his time to be a captain was basically while Joe Pavelski had it, and Pavelski was a better choice for captain because Pavelski is worthy of it. And when the Sharks let Joe Pavelski go, the culture in the locker room changed for the worse, and that was the beginning of the end. The last time they were in the playoffs was with Pavelski, and I mean, the Pavelski injury happened, but they overcame that and made it, into the Western Conference Finals. But with Pavelski gone,
is Joe Pavelski still in the league?
Yeah, he's playing for the Stars.
And Dallas, is he still really good? Or
yeah, he had a down year his first year in Dallas, but last year he absolutely fucking crushed it. And I haven't checked his stats this year yet, so I can't say how he's doing yet.
And why did they let him go? Was it just a salary cap casualty?
It was a salary cap casualty. They had 2 options. They could either keep Joe Pavelski, who was on the wrong side of 30, or they could keep Evander Kane, who was on the right side of 30. They chose Evander Kane poorly in hindsight.
I would defend that. I would defend it though, because he had the most upside.
Upside.
We had no idea that he was a gambling menace and a terrible husband and a terrible person.
He's like with the Barracuda or something like that.
No. They sent him down to the Barracuda, and then they ended up cutting him, and he signed with Edmonton, and I think he's still in Edmonton now.
And is he doing well for them, or?
He's not doing bad at all for them. I don't think he's their leading scorer or anything of that nature, but he's definitely
with Draisaitl.
Yeah, he's definitely not. I think he's serving his purpose for them over there, and quite well, actually. To your point though, Vince, I think, this is my opinion. You're more than welcome to tell me who you think, but I think that C should start looking to someone else, and I'm kind of looking at Timo Meier as a possible C for them.
Vince says no.
Vince says no to Timo Meier. I think Timo could be one of the guys that you pin an A on his chest in like another year or 2.
Yeah.
But the captaincy should probably go to Erik Karlsson. We know he's going to be around for a while. It's either Karlsson or
Karlsson's a
Hurdle.
He's been around for a while, right?
Yeah, he was a captain on Ottawa
Senators.
when he was there.
Yeah.
So he's somebody that has experience with that role. And I believe that's something I think about when the Sharks signed Rob Blake and he ended up being captain for a couple of years after they stripped it off of Marlowe, but then before they pinned it on Joe Thornton. So I think it could be a situation like that where you have Carlson as your captain until somebody younger steps up and takes it.
My thing with Carlson, though, he's just such a lone wolf. Like, he just dominates, but I just don't see him as a captain material. He's just captain by default because he's so good compared to everyone else.
Well, I mean, that's how a lot of these guys get captain. That's how Jonathan Taves ended up being captain of the Blackhawks. He was, 19 years old and just supremely talented. So they pinned a C on him and then said, learn on the fly.
Pretty much.
You don't have anybody on the Sharks who you can pin a C on and say, learn on the fly. I think you have this veteran core that you can rely on. And I think Carlson and Tomas Hertl are the two guys that you can look at and say, yeah, you go ahead and wear the C, be the big guy. Because I'm getting real close to being done with Logan Couture. He may be my birthday twin, but I'm done with him. Later, brother.
I think he's definitely played past his prime. I mean, he was supposed to be the West Coast version of Crosby, and clearly that never came to fruition. Good, he's a good player, just not to what the expectation of what was put on him, unfortunately.
All right, so I think that
before we move on, I just want to ask, like, what do you think are the bright spots? I mean, they seem like, is this a transition season? Again, everybody knows by now I love the business of sports. Is it a transition, or
it's absolutely,
because we're not seeing the young guys, right? We're not seeing the who was their top prospect, Eklund?
William Eklund and Thomas Bordelot. They're both playing at the Barracuda right now, and they will get some time up here with the big team at some point this season because injuries happen.
Is the NHL similar to MLB, where like once you start their clock type of deal, or why aren't they up with the club right now?
Yeah, it's a little bit like that. Yeah, there's different rules to it, but you can get like about 10 games up with the big club without starting your rookie clock or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's similarities and differences, but generally speaking, yeah, you're on the right path with that thought.
We got to have Eklund watch. When are we going to see this top prospect?
Yeah, Eklund is probably. I have to believe Eklund is going to be probably when they call him up next. They don't want to ever send him down again, and the idea is that they're probably going to let him wait down there till the season is officially lost. And I mean
that could be by December for all we know.
Exactly. Yeah, we could be looking early January when Eklund and Bordelot are both up with the team and just taking major minutes. This is a team that is definitely in transition, is a nice way to put it. They're right now, Mike Greer is seeing what's in the cupboard. James Reimer's been playing pretty well in goal, but he's a trade piece. You're looking to move him to a contender, somebody that needs a solid backup goalie for if an injury happens. And that's right now he's on an extended audition for a lot of top teams. So that's what's happening with the Sharks. Basically, this is a season that I was not counting on a lot of wins, and they're proving me right.
And when's the trade deadline? Like
February,
what's the
late February. The next game, the next moment that I'm looking to, the next bright spot for the Sharks is February 23rd, because that is Patrick Marleau's jersey retirement. So that's the next highlight.
What's he up to? Can he still play?
He's done.
He's done.
He was washed.
He's retiring.
To answer your question here, Sam, like, this is the first year this head coach. He came into it late, just like the GM came into it late. So as Vince was saying or alluding to, this is a show me what you got. We're going to throw every shit on the wall, and if something sticks, we're going to make this work for the head coach the following year. But I fully believe that next year he's going to clean a lot of house and build the team that way he wants it.
That's right. They're FDR in 1933. They're just going to keep trying all kinds of shit. See what works. Whatever doesn't work, you get rid of it. Whatever does work, you pump more money into it. Try to save this team economy. I'm losing the thread here.
I got
but
you.
You know. Okay.
It's the
alphabet
first
soup.
year of Billy Bean.
Yeah. Yeah,
Was that
sure.
96, 95?
97, yeah.
It's the pasta theory.
Exactly. All right. So I think that is there any other points we need to bring up, gentlemen? I think that takes care of our show, Doc. Yeah.
There it is.
There
That's
it is.
it?
We're all done.
Right around an hour. So here we go. Let's just remind the people to look us up on social media, SVT Sports Pod on Instagram and Twitter, and send us an email at svtsportspod@gmail.com. And check us out on YouTube, please. We would love for you to slide into our DMs as well. Always ready to interact with the fan base.
Yeah.
All right, fellas. You
Do
guys have
it.
a wonderful Monday. Enjoy your basketball. Oh, go vote. Everyone, go vote.
Yep.
Please
Do your
vote.
part.
Tomorrow's
do your thing.
Tuesday. Vote.
It's there's no basketball. Go vote. They're all playing tonight. You guys have a wonderful night.
Good night.
Have a good night, everybody.
All right. See ya.